welcome everyone to the Alumni Gathering 2021, hosted by the Cal Poly Pomona Black Alumni and Friends chapter. I'm Corey Gaither, a graduate of Cal Poly Alumni, class of 2011. I sit on the board for the Cal Poly Alumni Association, and I proudly sit on the board of the Black Alumni chapter as well. Every year we try to do an alumni gathering where we elevate Black voices, Black alumni from Cal Poly, and catch up on what they're doing, get some kind of words of encouragement, some motivation, and just kind of learn about the different experiences that different generations of Cal Poly graduates have had, different backgrounds that Cal Poly alumni have had, and just add some different diverse voices to the big sphere that Cal Poly has when it comes to the alumni base that we have. So I would definitely encourage everyone to tap into that alumni base. We do have mentorship programs, et cetera. And you can always kind of learn more about who actually went to your school that's adding value to your degree. And so tonight, this evening, I am very excited about what we have going, but I want to give some thank yous before we start. I want to thank Linda Ursa Fleming, Teresa Eoff, and Shauna Chambers. They're 3 board members on the Black Alumni Board, and they have done a tremendous job with helping to coordinate this event, extending their network, their influence and knowledge to help us get to this point. I want to thank the staff, Melissa and Andrea, the alumni office. They have done a great job coordinating all the different pieces together and keeping us all on task. So we greatly appreciate your guys' effort. I also want to thank Disney Imagineering for helping and assisting with getting out the word of this event. So we greatly appreciate it.
Give it to me on my phone.
And then I also want to start off with basically saying that this event is something that I'm very proud of. I want us to all learn. And so if you do have some questions towards the end of the conversation, please feel free to put those in the box. But let me stop talking and let's just get started. So I want to introduce Ashley. Ashley is an alum and she'll be doing the Fireside chat, the first one with Violet Palmer, and then we'll have an intermission and we'll start the second one with our other guest, Barbara Boza. Thank you.
All right, can everybody hear me out there and see me okay? Yay, okay. Hello, my name's Ashley Curry. I'm also a Cal Poly Pomona alumni. I got my bachelor's in biology there and have since gone on to get a master's in public health, communicable diseases. So Violet, it's an honor to be speaking with you today. You are very accomplished. And we are really excited to get to pick your brain today. So I guess I'm just gonna jump into it. Where'd you go? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, there you are.
Yes, I can, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So let's just jump into it. So for those of you who don't know, Violet is the first female officiator in the NBA and the Wnba. So we're very lucky to have her here today. So as a Cal Poly alum myself, I know we all have our reasons that we chose Cal Poly. For me, it was the horses and the animals, but that's not everybody's thing. So why did you choose Cal Poly, and what other school almost snagged you instead?
Well, wow, that's actually a good question. I think for me, one of the key components for me was Coach Darlene May. I never forget, I was a sophomore in high school, and she walked into the gym and she was recruiting 2 of my other teammates at the time because I was just a sophomore. And I literally, when this lady walked into this gym, she just had this confidence and this aura and this swag. And it was like, oh my God, Coach May, it walked into the building. And I was so happy she said hello, because of course she wasn't able to talk to me at that point in time because I was still too young, being a sophomore. And something about her just resonated in me. I don't know if it was just her body language or how she carried herself, or it was just her strength. And I think for me, that was probably the first time that I was like, if I got a letter from Cal Poly Pomona, I wanted to go to the school. There was no question. And I will admit that once I got to the campus, I really kind of loved being away from home, but not too far. I agree. I loved all the cows and the greenery and sitting up on Kellogg Hill. It was just kind of for me far enough away, but close enough where my parents could still come watch every single game, but I didn't have to stay at home. So,
Right.
I was able to kind of get out and find my way.
Okay. I like that. And I'm glad that someone else enjoyed the cows, not just me. So next question I want to get into is let's see. I want to get into how you grew up and kind of what has been encouraging you and motivating you and inspiring you along the way. So for anyone who's seen Violet officiating, she's pretty fierce out there, pretty intense, very precise. And a lot of people talk about how Compton has produced doctors and lawyers, music moguls, greatest tennis players alive. What is it about that city that just creates that fierceness and that drive?
Well, I think it's so funny that you say that, because I really believe Compton gets a bad rap because you really only hear, about the bad. And I think for a lot of us, including myself, it was probably the best childhood a girl could have. We were the neighborhood that you played outside, you played with all your friends, you literally, we played all the sports. We actually made our baseball diamond in the street, and we were so bold, we would block the street off so the cars wouldn't come through. Of course they would still come through. They would move the cone and be mad because we're playing in the street. But it was just I grew up in a neighborhood. I grew up with kids. I walked to school until I got lazy and I wanted my mom to give me a ride. But literally, it was just a really, really fun environment. And I truly believe that, Compton is a city of champions. We have some very prominent and people just in all aspects of life, not just sports, not just politics, not just education, but in the music industry, and it's just kind of all over the place. But I really believe that a lot of it has to do with the media, and they only want to talk about what's bad and not what's good. And I appreciate when I'm actually proud to say that I'm from Compton. My mother still lives in the same house I grew up in. We still, my brother, my sisters and I, we still get together. Literally on Sunday, if you want a good meal, you can go to my mother's house right to this day. She cooks every Sunday. So for me, my upbringing was the best, and I wouldn't change it for a thing, not one thing.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So just going off that, what kind of experience did you have in high school? I'm sure you played basketball. Did you have interest in officiating at the time, or what were your plans when you were kind of going through high school, coming up through the ranks, if you will, and what was that like?
Well, to be honest, and that's a good question. To be honest, no, I did not have officiating in my view when I was in high school, because again, I loved playing the sport and wanted to get a basketball scholarship to Cal Poly Pomona, which was great. Didn't even realize how important it was for me until after I kind of grew up and found out that getting that scholarship really helped my parents financially, because they were going to try to have to figure out how to pay, me getting back and forth to school. So I think for me, the proud moment when my dad actually thanked me for getting a scholarship, in basketball, which I think is, for me, it just made me feel really, really good. But it also put a lot of pressure on me, because you feel like when you get a scholarship, I'm like, okay, I can't screw this up. I need to get an education. I need to graduate. I need to prove to my parents, to myself, that I'm going to use this opportunity to do well with it. And I think for me, that's what I did. And the officiating part came after graduating, getting into my career in recreation, working for the city of Los Angeles. And then after that is where I kind of got into the officiating. And it came really easy because, of course, because I played the sport and played kind of all the sports in grade school.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so the pressure of a scholarship is a lot, like you said. Do you remember your first day at Cal Poly? Do you remember what that was like coming onto the campus and actually being there and living this, experience?
To be honest, it was so cool because, the one fortunate thing when you're an athlete, you kind of get treated like with this little, you get special treatment in some aspects. And I think for me, my first visit, Coach May and Barb, they introduced me to everybody in the athletic department, showed me all around the campus. She had actually one of the vice presidents to come down, and he took me around to the student union and walked into the middle of the quad, and at that point in time, we didn't even have as many buildings as you guys have now. So you had a lot of grassy area. You saw people just hanging out and sitting on the grass with their books. And the union, they had a lot of activity. Took me up to the dorms, and I stayed in the dorms 2 years. So for me, I think I got the full aspect of being a college student and being on campus and getting used to everybody. I actually worked at the student union. I worked in the athletic department on, doing some part-time work.
Oh, wow.
I never forget, I used to make sandwiches in the student union as a part-time
wow.
job. Yeah, we were,
Wow.
so for me, just that whole visit, and it felt really, really like a family, like a close-knit family. Everybody's calling everybody by their first names and, being in the dorms, going to eat in the commons. For me, I think I just had the whole experience, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I remember that too. Actually, shout out to Corey, was the first person I met at Cal Poly. I don't know if you know that, Corey.
Oh.
Yeah, I was lost and he showed me where to find my class. Okay. So let's go into you getting into officiating. So maybe back then it wasn't, women's empowerment probably wasn't as big as it is now, and it wasn't as accepted or embraced. What made you feel empowered to go into that field where, there's no one who looks like you? And what advice do you have for our current basketball team and just current students out there who are facing, some type of adversity? How do you, keep that feeling of empowerment?
Well, I think for me, it first started with my mom and dad. I was really blessed in how I was raised. I was actually given the opportunity to try all sports. I took piano lessons. I played piano first in our Sunday school, and people, a lot of, those things I don't talk about a whole lot because people don't, everybody wants to talk about basketball and the officiating, but, I was able to do a lot of different things as a young kid growing up. And I think that was the start for me of I can do anything, just wanting to get that opportunity. So I think for me, that's where the confidence and the drive and having an opportunity, I went to a high school that had a really good team, and, all those little bitty things build your character. It empowers you. It makes you feel like you can do anything, I was never afraid. I was never one, even though I grew up in the inner city, I just felt like as long as I trained and developed and worked on my skills, I would be successful, and I think taking all those things and incorporating them in my life. And of course, we already know officiating, when you're an official, it's about rules and regulations. It's about black and white. And we know that there's a lot of gray in that black and white. But for me, that was something that I really loved. I think at one point I thought about being a police officer. Again, black and white.
Yeah.
So for me, it was always about just, for me, getting that opportunity. And I think the opportunity with the MBA came about because, again, I wasn't afraid. I was confident. I wanted to be trained, and I studied. I worked my butt off. And I think that's the one thing that I try my best to tell kids today is that millionaires, people who are successful, they work really, really hard every day, and even now that I'm retired and I'm not officiating, I am like busy. I'm on the go. I have things going on. And I think those things, it resonates and people gravitate to that. And opportunities present themselves the more we dream, the more we're not afraid, the more we put ourselves out there. And being, a woman of color, there is a fine line between being strong and being the angry Black woman. You got to find that middle ground, and work your way through. But I think for us, we have to just show that we're extremely confident. And I think that's the empowerment. And follow your passion. You follow your passion, you're going to be successful. You're going to strive. You're not going to be afraid of the hard work. And I think for me, all those things from my childhood, from going to Cal Poly, I played under a very, very strict coach. Coach May, she was about business. She was about take care of, dot your I's, cross your T's, work hard, and treat everybody fair. That's one thing I loved about her. And I think all those things for me from childhood, high school, college, kind of helped me find my way so that when the opportunity for the MBA presented itself, all I knew was, I'm about to work. I'm about to show them that whether or not they wanted to hire me, they were going to hire me because I was going to give them no choice but to be really, really good at being a referee. And I think, and it goes for, of course, I'm saying refereeing, but it goes for any profession that anyone is trying to pursue. You just have to follow your passion, work hard. Don't be afraid of the work. Don't be afraid to make mistakes because you learn from those mistakes. You grow from those mistakes. I think in all of that, with incorporating all of that is empowerment. And I think, I don't know if I probably put a lot in there, but that's really
the answer we could ask for. And I think that's great advice for, students and other alumni out there listening, it's a great time in our life now to try new things. And you talked about, your childhood, you were able to play the piano and just kind of do a lot of different sports. And we're kind of at that age where I think that's great advice. Try new things, stumble a little, fail, fall, get up and try again. I think that's amazing advice. So everyone out there listening, I'm listening, heed that advice. So, okay, well, let's jump into another question here. So I'm just reading off my sheet here. So the people want to know, what is your advice for other Cal Poly students and even, those who officiate intramurals and such? What would be your advice for those looking to pursue a career in officiating?
Well, there's a couple of ways you can handle it. I think the easiest way is that there's always a local association in every county. Like Los Angeles, I think we have about 5 or 6 of them because we all kind of start doing high school. Well, for me, I actually started at Cal Poly because I actually took the officiating class. I actually officiating intramurals. So for me, that's kind of where I got my feet wet. But we all have to actually get some type of high school certification so that you can now work. You could work the park leagues, you could work the high school, and you kind of work your way up. You actually have to attend camps to work your way up to get to JUCO, Division III, Division II, and ultimately you want to get to Division I, because literally you get to Division I. Officials that work for me in Division I, this is all they do for 4 months out of the year, and they make 6 figures. So it's very lucrative, but the best way to start, obviously, is through your high school association, and you kind of take it from there. Once you kind of get your feet wet, like I did, I got the itch, and I mean, literally found something that I loved, that I was passionate about, and kind of found my God-given talent. Because when you do it, when you follow your passion, you're really not working. You're actually having a good time and having fun by doing it. So I would say to anyone, whether it's soccer, whether it's volleyball, whether it doesn't matter what sport, especially for women now, there's a strong push for women in sports. You look at the NBA, they have 4 women on their staff. You look at the NFL, we just had Sarah Thomas. She just, worked the Super Bowl. I think there's a woman doing the Major League Baseball right now. We have women in Major League Soccer. So it's not just basketball. You can choose your poison. And with that, and just think, for me, I started off it was a hobby. I wanted to stay in shape. I wanted to make a little part-time money. I was happy going to the rec leagues and working high school. And I just got better as the years went, till I, of course, a knock on the door, and I landed in the NBA for 20 years. So you can't tell me that dreams don't come true. You can't tell me that you can't follow your passion. For me, that's really all you have to do. So if there's a will, there is a way. And if you want to do it, you just have to step out on faith and follow your dreams and follow your passion and just do it.
Absolutely. That's great advice. Okay, so during your time at Cal Poly, or even now, going through your officiating career, have you had any mentors and people that really, gave you that extra push, people that looked out for you and helped you out along the way, that you look back and say, wow, my life would have turned out different without that person?
Absolutely. It's funny. I think I had different mentors for different stages. I would say growing up, it was definitely, my mom and dad. No, there's no question. I had two of the 2 examples that a girl, if I just followed them, of course I would be successful. My father was a really hard worker, never called in sick, so for me growing up, never called in sick. That's not what you do. You go to work, you suck it up. So I think for me, my parents were the start. And then I had a really, really good high school coach who spent a lot of time with me on Saturdays and Sundays and helping me attend camps and doing all the outside tournaments. So of course I looked up to her, because she just showed, like, how you have that one person that shows a special interest in you, or a person that you're around that sees something in you that you don't even really necessarily see in yourself. Wow, and that was my high school coach. And then we get to Coach Darlene May. And literally, I'll tell you this one story. I started officiating. I was a grad assistant for Coach May. And then the next year, I stopped because I became a high school junior varsity softball coach and varsity high school coach at El Dorado High School in the city of Placentia. So I did that for a year, didn't like coaching. I got into officiating. I didn't even tell Coach May. I think I'm being, secretive. So I'm thinking I won't tell her till I get big time. So of course I go to Cal Poly for a visit. I go in Coach May's office. She closed the door and she says, "A little Tweety bird told me that you're officiating." I said, "Really?" And I was so surprised. I'm like, she's not supposed to know. I'm just starting out. And she gave me the biggest compliment. She said, "You know what? I heard that you kind of have my demeanor and you look like me out there on the court." And I could have melted, because here is the woman that gave me an opportunity to play at Cal Poly, gave me a scholarship. I looked up to Coach May. Coach May, just had worked her way through the ranks. She was a coach. She was so well respected. And for her to give me a compliment that I looked like her, I knew. I said, "Oh, I got this. Yeah, I will not fail." So, and then once I got in the NBA, I had, I call them my boys. I had a group of 5 guys. And when I tell you, they took me under their wing like I was their sister. And literally to this day, those 5 guys are 5 of my best friends a girl would ever want to have. So I think for me, different stages of my life, people came into my life that just gave me that direction and that support and their honest opinion, where it didn't matter whether it hurt my feelings or not. because they always had my best interest at heart. And I think, and I say this to people all the time, that you have to get a mentor that's going to be honest with you. Someone, someone they've made it to where you're trying to get to, or they're honest, or they just have a lot of wealth of knowledge where you can bounce things off of them, because we all need them, because they're so important, because we run into those stumbling blocks, and to have someone that you can talk to. So I think I've been really, really blessed throughout my career to have some really good role models and examples that I could follow. And I just really followed, became a good listener and a sponge, and took in everything they had.
Okay. So you talk a lot about Coach May, and I know you had a little bit of success at Cal Poly when you played on the team there. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about your fondest memories of her as a coach, and maybe some of your, like, what was that like playing on the team and winning, and just, kind of just a little bit about her and how she really like inspired your life?
Well, you know what? She was so family oriented, and it was so funny because Coach May was such a private person. We only saw her at school or on the court, or, I didn't really get a chance to know Coach May until after I graduated. And once I did that, I met like a totally different person. She was, because I thought she was strict and firm, and just, you couldn't get in trouble with Coach. She didn't take no for an answer. She was very strict. Practices were hard. You knew that you had to go to class and handle business, because that was just her demeanor. And then after, I think the one thing, there was two things that she did that just showed me how warm and fuzzy and loving she was. I never forget my first Final Four for college, Division I, and a security guard knocked on the door, and he gave me a note, and he said, "Someone wants to see you outside." I'm going, wait a minute, that you can't even get to the door. She got to the door. When I stepped out the door, it was Coach May, and she said, "You know what, VP, would you have ever thought I wouldn't have missed this Final Four for you, your first one? I would not have missed it." And Coach May didn't even go to Final Fours anymore, but she showed up just to support me. And that right there, I was like, oh my God, I will get through this, and it'll be a piece of cake. So I had that instance with her. And then I had graduated, was one of her grad assistants, went on to coach high school, and her and I was in City of Placentia. So we actually, I don't know how we end up talking, and she told me, she says, "You know what, you're really, really close to my house. Why don't you just come by?" I almost wrecked my car, because for Coach May to invite me to have lunch at her house was huge. And I went, this lady really is just a wonderful person. So I really got a chance to just talk about where I was and what I wanted to do. And she shared things with me, and I got a chance to just meet, like, almost like I could really talk to her like she was my mentor. But it was so calm and soothing and in a protect mode for me that it just made me feel so good. So I said, you know what? And I always felt like that as a student and as a student athlete, but getting a chance to spend time with her, after I had graduated, and talking and sharing, I went, what one of the best experiences that I've ever had. And I can honestly say, anything or anytime I come up to Cal Poly, it's just, I have such a wonderful time. I can, even now I get choked up, because I just, last year I got nominated into the Hall of Fame. And when I tell you, Brian in the athletic department, it was a beautiful ceremony, beautiful. So I have to say, from the bottom of my heart, I love my school. I love being an alumni. I love coming up. I come up, I talk to the team every single year. Coach and I, we talk all the time. We were having lunch about every couple of months until the pandemic started. So I love my Cal Poly family. And I just really thank, Coach May for giving me the opportunity to come and be a part of the Cal Poly family, because one of the best schools in the country, no question.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. I know a lot of us have like similar stories with professors and, teachers
Mm-hmm.
and coaches at the school. So it's good to know that that is, the foundation of what, could lead to a successful career and building confidence and just really like giving you that feeling that you can do the things that you want to do. And
Right.
so I think for everyone listening, that's nice to hear. It's nice to hear. So let's see. The people have spoken. They would like to know, how many shifts in your career did you make before you reached, I guess, the NBA level? And then since then, what have you been up to?
Well, I think my shifts, I didn't have a lot because I literally graduated, and then I worked at McKinley Home for Boys in San Dimas as a group home director. I stayed there for about a year and a half. After that, I got my position with the city of Los Angeles as a recreation director. I stayed there for almost 10 years. And then the NBA knocked on my door and I became an NBA referee for 20 years. So I think, for me, I was real stable with jobs. I didn't kind of have to go through a lot of different avenues. Once I found my niche, obviously my niche, I love being around kids, and that's where the recreation came in. I love sports, of course, that's where the recreation came in. And then officiating happened. So once I started officiating, it kind of took a life of its own for me. And officiating is my world. I mean, even now, I'm the coordinator of officials for 3 collegiate conferences. I'm actually getting ready to go to Vegas
Wow.
on Monday for all the tournaments for my college conferences. I have the Pac-12, the West Coast Conference, and the Western Athletic Conference. I run my own basic referee school for adults who are trying to work their way up either through high school, JUCO, Division I, doesn't matter. I teach that. And I'm still doing a little consulting for the NBA. So I think right now my plate's pretty full as a person when I say that I'm retired. Not really. I'm just retired from running. But when it comes to officiating, I'm still extremely, extremely busy.
Okay. Let's see here. Sorry, I have this tiny, tiny list I'm trying to read through.
You actually kind of went through because I kind of remember the question. I don't know if there's one that you didn't miss. Yeah.
I know. I'm like, well, what is there anything that you want to tell us? I have some questions of my own. I'd like to know so you've been back to Cal Poly over the years, and how was it different, back when you were a student, versus like, what are some of the biggest differences that you see now at Cal Poly? Because we don't really know what it was, like.
Yeah. Well, I can honestly say I think the one thing is that you guys have a lot more students. When I attended, we only had about anywhere from 10,000, 12. And I think now, what are you guys at? Like 16 maybe? Or you guys still at 10? Because it seems like it's more students now. We didn't have all those big, beautiful buildings that you guys have. That would be a no. I think our largest building was the admin building right at the top.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all the apartments, no apartments. All we had was the dorms. That was it. Yeah, there was so it was a lot more grass. You could see from the admin building all the way down. If you look, because it kind of went down the hill, you could see all the way down probably towards the student union and probably even a little further, because you didn't have all the larger buildings that you guys have now. So it was really kind of wide spread out. It wasn't crowded, but it was still big, but not too big. Class sizes were small, so you got a chance to know your professors. And being a student athlete, I knew everybody around on campus. It was fun. It was like just that family environment, for me. And that's really what I loved about it.
Okay, yeah, that is, I mean, I feel like Cal Poly has kind of kept that kind of family environment feel, smaller classes. And so it's good to know that that's kind of one of the things that they kind of preach at Cal Poly is we like to keep that, small classes, you get to know your professors. And it's kind of nice to know that that's always been, it's like a part of their real foundation, it's something that
Gotcha.
they've really
Right.
stuck to. So that's great.
Right. Well, I just saw that it popped up on my screen. Someone asked the question, what year did I attend? And I was 82 to 86.
Okay. There you go.
I just
And
saw it pop up, so I thought I would
yeah,
answer
and
the
if you
question.
see them pop up, because I see
Okay.
them and I'm trying to read them,
I
but they're
know.
like gone.
Oh no, trust me, I'm happy to be on this side, because when I'm on your side, that's difficult to
Man.
do, to try to read and then ask the question.
I'm doing my best, but okay.
You're doing wonderful.
I'd like to know. So you spoke earlier about, when you're in a career, especially when you're a serious person, you're in a serious job, and you want to toe that line of being, taken seriously, doing your job really well, being focused. But then there's, a lot of stereotypes that you don't really want to fall into, that people see as, they can tend to put these good qualities into like a negative light. What did you find was like your strength to kind of keep going through that adversity? And I guess, how did you figure out how to like toe that line? How did you stay focused and just kind of stay in your zone?
For me, it was the work. I took a lot of negativity, and officiating is a negative profession anyway. All at period. And I think for me, with all the negativeness and the adversity, and I think I kept telling myself, it's about the training, it's about my hard work and my effort. And I said, I know in my heart I am a kind, gentle, loving person. So all I said was, all I can do is be myself.
Yeah.
And in being yourself, you're gonna navigate through life. You're gonna know that some people are gonna like you, some people that love you are gonna love you, and then some people are not gonna like you just because. And there's no reason, there's no rhyme, there's nothing. So for me, those people I didn't really pay much attention to. It was almost like that whole kill them with kindness, you know. Um, just be, I could continue to just be myself, and I eventually knew that either I would win them over, or they will eventually just leave me alone, because I know that I'm talented, I know that I'm smart, I know that I'm good at what I do. So you can't be mad at me for being talented and good at what I do, and you really can't be mad at me because I'm gonna outwork you.
Right.
So you focus more on yourself and let all those other things take care of themselves, and it won't even affect you.
Well, I think that's great advice that anyone can take, no matter who you are. I think you've got people out there who you feel are, don't have your best interest in mind, and to lean into yourself and lean into your craft. I think that's really good advice that we can all take. So let's move on to something a little lighter, because that was, it's a little heavy.
Okay.
Let's see. So what school was your biggest rival when you were at Cal Poly?
Oh, Chapman College. We hated each other.
Really?
Oh my goodness. Well, it was Chapman College and Fullerton. But Fullerton wasn't in our conference. Fullerton was that non-conference game that we could not lose. But I have to honestly say, I didn't lose too many games at Cal Poly in my 4 years. We were really, really good.
Okay.
But I think the key for as far as CCAA, it was Chapman College.
Okay.
If Coach May was like, we can lose anybody, but not them, and we didn't. We honestly did not. Yeah.
All right. Chapman College. Okay, maybe we can bring that rivalry back after this. Next fun question. What is your favorite NBA moment? What comes to mind?
Wow, Ooh, I have a couple of them, but I think the one favorite moment for me, well, there's two. My first one was my first game. I was scared, about to pee my pants, but it was a moment that I would probably remember, for the rest of my life, because the nerves and the giggles and all the limelight and everything that was
Yeah.
going on, it was like, oh my God, I just want this game to start. And once the game started, I was like, oh, that was a piece of cake. It was just another basketball game. But all the stuff prior to the game, it was a lot. But I think the defining moment when I knew that I had really made it in the NBA was when I made the playoff, because everyone told me that it was not possible. Everyone told me that it wasn't going to happen. Everyone said they'll never put a woman in the playoffs. They hired you, but they'll never put you in the playoffs. I said, okay, we'll see. So I just bust my butt, worked hard, stayed on task, and just developed. And again, the more you're at the top of the class, they're going to have to give you your shot. And of course, when I worked that first game, it was incredible. I can tell for all the people who know, how guys say, I don't really watch the NBA. I just like to watch the playoffs. It's because the playoffs is when they really play. And you really see the intensity, you feel it, the atmosphere. And I can't even imagine now, because, now we have the pandemic and they're playing games with really no fans. And when I tell you the energy in those buildings during the playoffs, it's incredible. It's one of the best feelings, you can have as an official. So for me, that definitely top notch when I first made it to the playoffs.
Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty exciting moment. So
yeah, it was.
Okay. Well, I just want to kind of end it off here with a couple fun questions, just so we can get to know you a little bit better. So what is your favorite color? We have to start there.
Okay, blue. As
Blue.
I'm wearing it, as you can see, blue is my favorite color. I don't wear it every day, but I love blue. So navy blue. Well, I'm more of a navy girl than the lighter blues, but blue.
Okay, blue. If you could choose a superpower, would you choose invisibility or would you choose super strength?
Wow. I would, you know what? I think I already have super strength, so I would choose in being in the invisibility.
Oh, there you go. I like that.
Yeah, I think I'm already a little power. I'm good with the power. I want to be invisible. Then I can just show up wherever I want. Definitely invisible.
Nice. Okay. Talking or texting on the phone?
I'm not great with either one. I would really probably say I'm doing better with my texting.
Okay.
So, because I'm not a big talker on the phone, probably because I spend a lot of time on the phone with work. So I would probably a texter.
Texting. Okay, yeah. Because then some people, you text them and then they call. We all know that's a no. Yeah,
exactly.
For all you listeners out there, don't do that.
Don't do that. Right.
Okay. Favorite city in the U.S. besides the one that you live in?
Oh, New York.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely, the Mecca. Yeah. No, there's no question. But I'm a city girl too. Now I love Chicago as well. A little too cold, but New York is cold too. But here again, I'm a Cali girl. So they're both cold, but I'm a city girl as well. But I love going to New York. I love going to plays. I love just all the tall buildings, all the shopping, just all the city that never sleeps. All that I love. So but it's big city life.
Yeah, New York. Okay, I think we can all get on board.
But now that's in the United States, so I do have other places. But in the United States, it would definitely be New York.
Okay, all right. What is a nickname that your parents used to call you?
My mom gave me Vi, so really that's really what kind of has stuck. It's either Vi or VP. Coach May actually gave me VP. She started calling me VP, and everybody started calling me VP, and it kind of stuck.
Well, you got a cool nickname.
I do. I kind of have two, so it's either Vi or VP. Either one.
Okay, those are both pretty good. I'm gonna embarrass myself.
No, I take that back. I have three. I forgot. Okay. Now my NBA guys, they gave me Queenie, so I'm like Queen to them because I was their queen, being the only one. So
I
I
like
kind of use all three too. Now that you just said it, I use all three.
those. You got some good
I know. I
nicknames.
kind of
Yeah.
like the Queenie too. That's nice.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna embarrass myself. My mom used to call me Mouse because I used to have a gap.
Oh,
So there
ah,
you
okay.
yeah. So not all of us had cool nicknames growing up.
Yeah, I think it was the Violet and the V and all
Yeah,
that. So
VP
that's
is pretty
mine.
cool
It kind of
too,
stuck,
like,
and then having the last name VP, it kind
yeah.
of stuck.
Yeah, that's a cool one. Okay, next one. What's the last song that you Well, people don't download music anymore, but what's the last song that you, I guess, listen to on your playlist?
Oh wow. I'm kind of all over the place.
Or just give us your top 3 songs. What do you like? What kind of music do you
I really love Beyonce. I love the remix that Beyonce did with Frankie Beverly and Maze. Love and Joy. That's
Okay.
like one of my favorites.
Okay.
I would probably, yeah, that's it. That's one of my tops.
Okay.
But I love Frankie
I like
Beverly
it.
and Maze too. I'm a little old school, so
Yeah, you gotta mix the old school with the new school in there.
new
That's
school,
cute.
yeah. Earth, Wind and
Yeah.
Fire. I'm kind of an old soul a little bit.
Okay. Um, let's do, I think we have time for a couple more. What's your favorite holiday?
Oh, Christmas! I love
Yes.
Christmas. I love the decorations. I love shopping. And it's not even really about the presents. I love the decorations and bulbs and tree and decorate my house
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh,
I love seeing kids' faces on Christmas. So I just love the whole holiday spirit. Christmas.
yeah. Same. Okay, so as a person who's been, in shape for most of their life, do you have a favorite junk food?
Oh, I have a couple actually. Pizza.
Yep.
I love pizza. Yeah, that would probably be at the
That's
top.
solid.
Pizza.
That's solid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yep, let's go with the pizza. Okay, but favorite toppings? Like, do you have like a favorite
Oh, I'm
pizza?
a pepperoni. Yeah, pepperoni and sausage. I'm real plain. You don't have to make it all
Okay.
fancy smancy. Just give me some pepperoni or some sausage or maybe a combo, and I'm happy.
Now I'm
Not to
hungry.
say that I can't eat the other ones, but if I went to order one, just pepperoni. I'm good.
I like it. Simple, delicious. Okay. Let's see. So I'm supposed to open up a question from there. I've been instructed. So bear
Oh,
with me. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So who is your favorite NBA player and who's your favorite WNBA player?
wow. I have two for the WNBA.
Okay.
I could honestly say Lisa Leslie and Candace Parker are my
Okay.
favorites. For the NBA, you know what? I can honestly say I have a couple, but the late great Kobe Bryant always treated me with the most respect. I would put him probably number one.
Nice.
And Kobe and I didn't, we had our beefs on the court, but it was always on the court. After,
Yeah.
he spoke on my 30 for 30 video, and he was injured, and he flew to the Staples Center to do the interview for me. So,
Oh,
I saw him at dinner one night. He actually bought myself, my wife, and we were with two friends. He bought us dinner, and just walked and literally bought dinner. And when I went to thank him, he was gone. I couldn't even say thank you. He just disappeared. So of course it would be the late great, the Hall of
yeah.
Famer.
Well,
Yeah.
that is an excellent note to leave this on.
It is.
Yeah, and thank you so much for being with us today. It's honestly been a pleasure speaking with you and learning from you. I hope everyone learns something that they can take from, into their own lives and incorporate and kind of build their own success. So thank you so much. Thank you so
You're
much.
more than welcome.
And
thank you. You did an awesome job too. Easy to talk to. Awesome.
well, thank you. And best of luck in all of your many endeavors you have going on. Not that you need it, but
Same to you.
best of luck and take care.
All righty.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you, everybody.
Yes, so everyone, we will be doing a slight intermission and then we will start our second fireside chat with Barbara Boza. But before that, I want to thank Ashley for doing our moderating today. We greatly appreciate you. And we greatly appreciate Violet Palmer. She just has this energy. I know why she speaks to the women's basketball team now. I'm hyped.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, I can do anything. So yeah.
I also want to thank the athletic department at Cal Poly for putting us in contact with her. So that's always great when Cal Poly offices get together and we just have great things happen. So definitely thank you to the athletics department. I forgot to thank you in the beginning.